Well, here we are at the San Elijo Ecological Reserve, and it looks like it's open pretty much every day. You got a little parking, just take the Manchester exit off of 5, go west. It's a little bit off the exit. You get a great shot of the lagoon. And San Diego culture. The San Diego River is right over there, and this is part of the same drainage. So 10,000 years of Stone Age history right here. This was the jewel of the entire watershed right here, this lagoon, and it's got all kinds of different systems. So let's take a little peek around here. Well, we've got a bit of wind and smoke here from our fires here, but let me give you a little look-see at the visitor center here. You got a visitor center, and right next to it walks all the way through with native plants and so on. But let's go up to the top here and take a little peek from up there. Hey, well, there goes the train and the railroad system. We're just up the way from the Del Mar Fair, and there's the lagoon out there in front of it. Looks like they're planting a lot of native plants, so this would be the time to get out here so you can look back and see just what. Oh, here come a couple of cormorants? One under the bridge there. There he comes. He likes this spot. They like shallow water for diving, but look at those special plants out there. They're used to fresh water. Well, here's just some of the bird life you'll find out here if you take a little visit out here. That, and I believe over half the species that you'll find in the United States, if you waited long enough here, you'd see over half the species that if you traveled anywhere in the United States to see, or North America, something like that. But you know, here's your common stuff that we're going to see. But let me go upstairs where I promised you. So just around the corner here. But there's one little surprise I wanted to surprise you guys with. Let me show it to you. Sometimes you're walking and you see a place like this, and you just think, you know, so what? Who cares? Look, I'll even walk a little farther and see if anybody picks it up. How about that, huh? No? Nothing? Piles of shells. What those are, believe it or not, and we've even got a road built on top of it, that is an ancient midden. It's a trash pile. We get to go through that and see what ancient humans 10,000 years ago would have been throwing away in this very location, and there it is. I'm letting you in on a secret, so don't spread it around. But right by the visitor center, right there, you can see the shells. That's a midden. And this area is famous for them. Let's take a look around and show you. See, they would have been hunting this lagoon. They would have liked those areas just looking over it. A little bit of elevation, like this observation deck, is what you want. And then they would have been eating shellfish and fish and sharks and rays. And you know what you find in this hill over here? You find those very items. You find shellfish. Hey, let's walk the extent of it. Here we go. Right along there is a midden. Midden. M-I-D-D-E-N. Look it up. And that's one way ancient trash piles that we learn about ancient civilizations. Come out and check them out. Then you got a great visitor center here. Look at that, we got a full visitor center as well as ranger assistants here. Raccoons. In years now, this is probably my favorite spot on the area. It's a drainage model, and you get to bring your own bottle of water and pour it down here and watch the sand and gravel. Look at that. I think that's from some Willow Grove kids, probably right there. I had some of my most brilliant kids out here once doing this, and look, see how they were able to wash the water down like that. And you bring your own gallon, and you see how the creek comes down, and then guess what? You travel down, down, down. There it flattens out. See where the river flattens. And then right through the pass there, There's the rapids. It's probably volcanic, and then look, all the way down to the lagoon. You see? You won't find another one like this. I've been around the world, and I haven't seen one. I'm sure they exist, but hey, 9 miles from Willow Grove School, and here we are, a model of this lagoon. There's some lemonade berry out there in front of us, and behind it, big expanse of estuary. Let's get out and walk it. So this is the first observation deck here, and you're doing a lot of big improvements. Look at that bridge. You're going to be some of the first people to get to walk across that bridge, because I never got to. That's new, as far as I know, and look at all those newly planted native plants. Talk about a native plant education. There you go, and you can get in on the start. Now, humans have messed around with this place, you know, since about 1890, when they dropped that railroad track in the mouth of the river, and that messes this place up a little bit. And so, even though they've coexisted, it needs a little improvement, and that's what they're doing right now. Look at that cliff up there, made of sedimentary materials that were deposited underwater. Now, we were talking about the other layer there. That was something there that I was reading about, was kind of deposited in a lagoon. A lagoon. Oh yeah, see, something like this, millions of years later, would turn into, oh, we just missed that fish jumping out there. Something bigger must be coming after him. Millions of years later, though, the mud deposited here will be pressed down on by other rock layers, and you'll see it stacked up. See, something like this. If you're on any trip, when you go out, if you just count the number of different types of birds you see, that's going to give you an indication how healthy your ecosystem is. So not necessarily how many birds. Like at the zoo, if you just have a lot of sparrows going over your popcorn, right? That's not a big ecosystem. But out here, if you see, let's say, 50 different types of birds, species, and so you don't even have to know what they're called to know that. All you got to do is know that one looks like another. Now, right now, as we were talking about, tide is coming up, and so this place is actually very quiet as far as birds go. And you can see the tide's been coming in, and so water's coming in here, filling it up. There's that mud on the bank of the other side that someday that's going to be a rock. So if you're like studying habitats, then, or adaptations, let's say, you're looking at why the pickleweed in front of us grows down here by the water where it's salty, and why you have that those willows and that cottonwood over there, why they're growing a little bit away. And you can see there's a definite demarcation. They don't want to grow out here. They want to grow over there, all the way down to where those people are. So, why? Well, it's the conditions. That's probably more salty over here. It's wetter over here. They get better fresh water over there. Now, here comes a cormorant. A lot of work being done out there behind me, believe you me. Trying to bring it back. Some of you guys will be involved in this someday. I would guarantee you bring enough kids from Willow Grove out here, we are going to get a lot of botanists and biologists and oceanographers and so on. Believe you me. And where would it get started? Right here. I can hear him out there. That was Willett, I believe. Well, this is pretty much the view that I drove out for, just to show you guys. I got an egret out there in the water behind us, and you got an example of how a lagoon is, and you got the wildlife and the plant life in front of us, as well as the geology layers here. and a willow habitat right next door that we're going to probably see a whole different kind of bird life, because that would be more like... Well, that shows me to always keep the camera going, because I just spotted a peregrine falcon. What do we see? A snowy egret, and heard a willet, and the third bird we've had an encounter with is a peregrine falcon going upriver this way. That's a perfect habitat for a peregrine falcon. You see, they're not gonna fly through the forest. They're a straight-on speed hunter, and so that grassland you're seeing out there, and these shorebirds, you see, when that peregrine falcon comes zooming in like that, they're pinned between the water or the dirt and the peregrine falcon, and so that's how they hunt. So they'll come in, and then they'll chase up like a group of shorebirds, and then the shorebirds will all fly away like this in a group, trying to protect each other. That's the safest way to fly. And then one of them, if the group goes this way and they make a mistake and go that way, bang, that's when the peregrine falcon gets them. And so that's the way a falcon shapes the shorebirds, and the shorebirds shape the falcons. Falcons get better and better at chasing. Here, where we've got willow trees that are actually growing right next to the estuary. And this place has got it. You got lemonade berry over here, you got willow over here. Willow has to grow where there's fresh water all the time. And so, look, now we got this bridge over here that's going to take us right across the creek. Well, anyway, let's head into the willow trees here. This is going back toward the visitor center. And you got a nice canopy here, with nice and shady on a hot day. It is a little warm today as well. Oops. So, complete canopy of willows around us, and that means we're going to have a lot of different birds here. Now, I'm not promising that I can get them for you on a camera. I could probably call them for you, or if you were out here, you know, in real life, you'd be able to see them with your own set of binoculars. Watch out for the willow trees. You don't get to look at them here, you're walking in them. And a little visitor spot here. And of course, at the right hour of the day, probably with this kind of bird, you're going to want to be out here toward the evening and toward the morning time. And most of them are probably hunkering down right now. But I always like to imagine myself as a Stone Age people out here 10,000 years ago, because they were in this exact same spot. Gathering food, living, trying to stay warm, putting their trash over there in the midden. So they did like to pile it up, and that's not just a couple years of pilings, that's thousands of years where this would be the spot where you'd pile your stuff just to get it out of the way, and then thousands of years later we can come back and look what they left. So whether it's this week or next month, this is a great place to come out to. And you might know, I saw more birds here right by the visitor center on the way back to my car than I saw actually out there. So don't cut short any of the habitats out here. And what would be the best months to come out? Well, I've always had best luck with like November, December, January. That's when the winter migration comes through, and of course this is where they all want to be. Southern California, or they're going to have to come through the south to go even farther south. So come out with your parents, make it a lifetime habit, whether it's here or there at another natural spot like this. You're going to look for the plants, the birds, the species of insects, any life you can see, and of course the geology. And how does that relate to the people that lived here once and the people that live here today? Well, let's get out of here before they fence us in.